and evaluate what is going to help you solve your year-over-year challenges and make sure that you can continue successfully. So I challenge you to look at that. The next piece to think about is industry experience. There's a lot of industry experience, and a lot of folks didn't have virtual event experience. I mean, they've been around for a long time. The technology has been there, but it's important to start to think about how the company you work with, Personify ourselves, not only working with associations, but working with events too, because you want a team that understands your challenges. And at us at Personify, we actually put on our very first virtual event almost 2 months ago. We had an in-person physical event, had to cancel it because of COVID, and switched to virtual ourselves. So not only, we've walked in your shoes, and a lot of our team has walked in the event shoes, the conference side. A lot of us have, the credentials and the background and have worked at associations to know the stress and the pressure you're under right now. And this is when you want somebody to lean on and say, hey, how do we do this? Help us through this. I've probably spent an enormous amount of time and happily walking our clients through a lot of what you're going to see today, just to get them to understand that, this is how you have to think, because nobody had this in their playbook. So think about industry experience, before this, because making sure that they understand your audiences and how to work with it is really, really important, because you've got enough stress and you've got enough to figure out right now that you just didn't have planned for this year. Next is extensibility. That sort of builds those infinite possibilities, because whether you're going to look at something to just satisfy your day of event, the rest of your year's events, next year's events, working with all your other different event tech solutions and all your other data, your association data, that's really important to think about, because I think a lot of folks are trying to make immediate decisions in selecting something, but also then forget that there's a lot of other pieces to the puzzle, and making sure that your solution can grow with you, not just, day of, not just the week, but in the broader terms, because, with the uncertainty continuing, you want to look long-term. And then support. Where is support? How are they going to support you? Are they US based? Are there people going to be there for you? Because again, I know when we put on our virtual event, I've attended a lot of clients for our event. I will tell you, most attendees have never attended a virtual event, and most exhibitors and sponsors have never exhibited or sponsored at a virtual event. So the level of questions that you will get leading up to your event are different. I joke that you could probably drop most people off in front of a convention center and they would be successful. They could probably get registered. They could probably get into sessions, and they could figure out the mobile app and they can navigate. In the virtual world, it's really different. So thinking about that support element as part of your solution is really important, because you want to have folks that understand how to help you navigate your event. So before we get started, I want to show you, we've been doing a lot of resources. They're free to you today to join. You can go to personifycorp.com and look at our resources. The Quick Start Guide to Planning Virtual Events is probably the most handy. There's an ebook there and a webinar that I did recently. If you're new to this, where to get started. Again, a lot of it's based on our own personal experience and experience with a lot of our clients. It's really important. I wrote on a virtual events thesaurus. You'll find that you need a whole new set of language that's both familiar to your attendees and sponsors and exhibitors, but also is representative of the virtual world. So I've written one of those for you, and as well as built a virtual event engagement calendar. We do a lot of webinars. We've got one coming up. Again, I won't go through all those, but if you go to the resources page, there's a lot to get you started. And I know right now a lot of us are starting to get webinar fatigue, but I encourage you, as you start to navigate this new world, jump on some of these, because they're really, really helpful, and we got really positive feedback. And then even we built a podcast, our Planet Leadership podcast, around how we took our event. And we've shared some secrets and some lessons learned. And so take from our lessons what you can. So I want to get into the demo because we only have 20 minutes left, and I want to make sure both Ben and I have plenty of time to share. So let me go ahead and switch screens here. Let's see if this works successfully. All right. All right, moving into, this is welcome to the Expo experience. One of the first things when this started was we really had to create something so people could visually understand how to represent it. in the virtual world. So not only has this turned into something that we're going to demo today, it's something our current clients, continue to go back to as a resource, because we update it as best practices evolve, and we start to really treat it as evolving resource, because as we've seen this play out, we want to make sure that we can quickly adapt to that. And I think that as organizers and you as conference planners and event planners, you have to be pretty adaptable. So let me show you a couple features in this. One is, again, a lot of times it's now communicating what's important. Are you 100% online? A lot of folks, and I saw it in the chat beforehand, how do we treat this virtual exhibit hall? How do we treat our sponsors? How do we do those things? And I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges that we're seeing. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways which our client base is treating it. So again, about 3 different ways. It's really up to you and your audience to think about how to represent it. I'm going to jump to the word floor plan, because those of you that may have a floor plan, most of you probably already had it laid out, and suddenly you're in this new situation. So we actually have clients that are traditionally starting to look at the floor plan as a traditional way to shop, because a lot of your anchor booths, some folks know how to shop your anchor booths. So keeping a floor plan also is a safeguard for those of you that may be virtual. We have clients that are in the fall that are looking at potentially still have a modified in-person and virtual or hybrid event. Some of our clients are moving to something what I'm calling really a virtual map, is where suddenly you can build anything. You're not limited by space or floor plans or entrances and exits. And so this is just an example of looking at, do we put people in outdoor furniture, and do we zone by those types of things? So that's an option to look at how to treat your floor plan. A lot of other events are just saying, look, we need to find other ways to shop in the virtual world. And again, I wanted to address this since there was a lot of questions around the virtual floor plan. So, a traditional list of your exhibitors and other ways to connect. And so I'll kind of show some of those things. But that's, again, 3 different options. Some are showing their traditional floor plan, some are showing a virtual map, and some are just showing their traditional exhibit list. But as you can see in my navigation here, you start to look at different ways to shop in the virtual world. We recently are having more clients move to saying we're going to have a virtual component of our event and an in-person component. So being able to shop by product category or search by keyword, things like that, is different, because before you looked at, always having an in-person experience. So say I'm looking for faux leather. Great, now it's showing me sessions that reference faux leather, and it's also showing me exhibitors and or product categories. So building, features in here to look at those options are really important. Searching by product category, another way in the virtual world to connect. One of the other things that we have built into the solutions, what we call the virtual connection suite. So one of the things that a lot of folks have said is, how do we make sure we connect buyers and suppliers, exhibitors, sponsors? So looking at this particular company here is Brentano. Obviously, in the virtual world, videos, show specials, press releases, products, they all become really, really important. The great news is we're starting to see exhibitors, yes, actually get this done, because they're realizing in the virtual world, these are really important things. And so now if you start to look at this, it's really important as an exhibitor, how do I connect? How can I look for attendees in a safe way? How can I send them messages, look at leads? Because now it's really important to have meaningful connections, trying to understand who are folks that match. Our virtual connection suite actually is using matchmaking powered by your demographics. People, what are they searching for? What sort of product categories? So we can also show folks that are leads that have taken action in your booth profile, but also allow them to reach out in a controlled way. Obviously, you don't want every exhibitor reaching out to send email or send a calendar appointment. The great thing is that you can actually limit and decide how many outreaches you want them to have. We see a lot of our organizations extending the virtual experience and looking at those types of things as a longer experience. So again, looking at ways to search who are your recommended based on relevance. Wow, I should probably reach out to this person because they match based on that matching criteria. So that's really, really important. Networking, again, is really critical. So we've built in those features. This is really the exhibitor side where you're seeing how they can do it. Then from the attendee side, if I log out as exhibitor, we've really started to talk and socialize. We have an entire team to help support you, reach out to both your attendees and exhibitors on your behalf, but not in a sales way to match. Oh, look, yep, old school phone. Sorry about that, folks. Is to reach out and start this engagement, logging in as attendees and starting to interact by contacting folks. A lot of this, again, is aided by, I'll show some examples of how our digital engagement team encourages your exhibitors to participate and reaches out to your attendees to get them to engage. Again, it's all, really all approved and all done on your behalf because you have enough to do without thinking about how do we get this engagement to happen. So we work collectively with you to create that engagement. A couple other quick things before I turn it over to Ben that are really important. I'm going to leave the education side to Ben, but a lot of folks have started to ask us about a mobile app. And I'm seeing more and more in information and educational sessions that a mobile app is really a critical portion of your virtual event. And I can say personally, having attended a couple virtual events, I am one click or one tab away from distraction. Probably like some of you this morning, an email comes in, a Slack or Teams message comes in. So a mobile experience allows folks to join on a preferred device. A lot of times when you start to broadcast sessions and things because of time zone, like Ben could be joining from on the iPad this morning because it's really early in the morning. That mobile piece adds to that experience. The other real benefit is obviously sponsorship. The other thing is text messages and being able to alert your attendees to be able to participate in your event. I'm also a social media person. I enjoy tweeting, and I can't tell you the last time I logged into Twitter, but that's when you have that mobile app. You start to experience your virtual event and you tweet and you interact. You do it natively in a mobile app. So again, that's really a big shift, and I'm glad to see more folks realize that a mobile app is another component of your virtual event, much like it would be in person. It drives that interaction and engagement. Obviously, the other pieces that you need to consider too is how to engage sponsors. There's a lot of different ways in both the virtual event that you just have to think differently. The mobile app provides that. One other final piece of advice is looking at really walking your attendees and your exhibitors through the experience and making sure that they understand how to use it. And that's where a lot of folks have started to say, how do we, I don't want another system. I don't want more and more places to log in. So looking at that sort of holistic approach. And really, let's talk about education. I'm going to turn it over to Ben because Ben's going to really talk about some of our education components right now.
Absolutely. All right. And able to hear me on that side, Rich? All right, perfect. Well, I'll go ahead and get my screen going here this morning. And what we're going to talk about here for a moment is more the component of kind of the virtual conference aspect when you are providing those educational opportunities and trying to, extend the value of, that virtual presentation, connecting participants with one another and with the speakers that are taking part in these great day-long or multi-day events. So, for me, what I think about being, consultant with Personify Community, which is the platform that we're going to be taking a look at today. The day of conference experience is really intended to provide that personal contact and connection, session content and conversations, and then of course, as Rich was mentioning, being able to provide that sponsor visibility and value that they would otherwise be getting through, that in-person experience. So here, with Personify Community, you're having the ability to build this experience on a mature foundation of a platform that has been around building digital connection for a long time. But we've configured this experience in a way that allows us to think about quick and easy deployments for those day of experiences, modern and intuitive look and feel. And then, of course, because it is built on a stable, large-scale platform that is used year-round by many of our association clients, think about the opportunity to endlessly scale it and grow it as you grow as an organization or as you look to the future for those hybrid events. So right now we're going to take a peek really quick at the profile and messaging tools, the idea of building those relationships with personalized information that allow participants to find and connect with their colleagues and with presenters and speakers alike. So that great way to be able to make a profile come to life to allow me to be able to find participant experience, background information, and in the case of Wanda here, maybe being a speaker, being able to apply additional information to learn about the background of that speaker, the session that she's going to be presenting, and even be able to see right here within her profile which session she's going to be leading. So you'll notice a couple of things here, not only great information, but the ability to personalize your cover photo and your profile photo, be recognized for your role with badges, but also to be able to quickly see and find those presentations that they're going to be offering as a part of that virtual experience. Another aspect here that's going to be really important is that connection piece. So being able to build those relationships, to connect with other leaders, and then even to be able to quickly private message them. So as I'm logged in as a different participant, and I've come to find Wanda's profile, I'll be able to quickly send her a note and say, hey, I'm really looking forward to your session. Do you have any other materials that you would recommend I look into? Things of that nature to really start that conversation and give that connection opportunity. As we move forward into another really important part of the community piece, we want to think about those sponsor recognitions here. And when we look at a sponsor list potentially, and Personify is a big sponsor of this event, we're going to take a look at what an organizational profile may provide with that additional visibility to provide information about that sponsor, to even be able to see what of their staff members are participating in the event. And then through those staff member profiles to actually be able to recognize that participant as a member of that particular organization. So really making those personas and people and organizations come to life in a virtual experience is a fantastic way to start rebuilding what you would otherwise be able to do in person. Now, as I transitioned over to what I think is probably the most important aspect of a conference or an in-person education experience, we want to talk about sessions. And as you're seeing in the profiles, we're able to take a peek at what other participants are actually already, joining and which ones they've RSVP'd to. But when we look at a session calendar here, we're able to leverage some really great functionality within Personify community to be able to break out the tracks. So if you have general sessions, breakout sessions, or more specific ways that you want to, align those session calendars with the tracks that they're a part of. And then also consider things like concurrent sessions. So no limitations on being able to offer concurrent time slots and open up the opportunity for people to kind of select their own journey. Now, of course, you're seeing sponsorship recognition throughout the community as well. But as we jump into a specific session to take a little bit of a look at what that individual session experience may look like, and of course, I'm a big fan of TEDx, so we have a lot of videos here. Thinking about the opportunity to be able to embed live streaming and on-demand video content is a really powerful aspect of the Personify community conference experience. So not only being able to, play on demand, but also to be able to use the information that's a part of the session to recognize the session sponsor, to even be able to attach the presentation deck for reference later when it becomes an on-demand experience. Another component that I would point out here that's also really helpful is to be able to provide session comments and questions. And, you know, slightly different than the on-demand chat that often disappears once the session has ended, this is a fantastic way to allow folks who are joining a session to pose questions to a speaker before they get going within a place that's easy for it to reference, and then continue dialogue around that session even when they're experiencing that session as an on-demand experience. So making it really easy to be able to allow those virtual events that are taking place over the course of a whole day, and to Rich's point, in multiple time zones, to still allow speakers and participants to interact in a way that wouldn't really be intuitive or possible with a live chat function. Last but not least, some great ability to just quickly be able to add these to your calendars. So if you are participating in a multiple day event and you recognize the ability to sort of schedule your workday around the sessions that you really want to participate in, some really intuitive tools there for you. As we kind of wrap up here, the one aspect I always think of in building community is conversation. So providing an ongoing area through which folks can post topics, ask questions, and even get logistical help with how to you know, navigate the virtual experience or what to expect from a staffing perspective for the host organization. Providing a discussion area that is ever present, that can serve those multiple purposes for continuing relevant conversations, to building consensus around what's going on in the market, or to even continue those conversations from relevant topics presented in sessions. Having a discussion tool that's ever present, that, you know, goes live in advance of the event, takes place during the event, and is still accessible after that event closes, allows us to more actively be able to provide that broader ongoing networking opportunity that is so important about those in-person events. And with that, you know, you may be asking, if you're like one of our other association clients that are thinking to yourself, you know, is this type of engagement, year-round features, something that, you know, can help our membership experience, not just at the virtual events, but of course, year-long, as you're starting to see the need for thinking about virtual or hybrid opportunities in the future, you can share those and see some of the great examples that our existing clients have had operating online community year-round. And with that, I will pass it back over to Rich to kind of wrap us up and take us through some closing concepts here.
All right, well, thanks everybody. I'm going to share my screen one more time since we have 2 minutes late. I tried to answer several of the questions along the way. I didn't get to everybody, so I apologize in advance. One of the things that I did want to cover is a great question I want to clarify. You do not have to have Personify CRM to use any of these solutions. These are all standalone independent solutions. Obviously, if you're a Personify client, that's one of the benefits, or A to Z, your community, but you do not have to have Personify solution. So Ben, thank you so much. I feel like, you know, 30 minutes has gone by so quickly, but I want to lead you to personifycorp.com/virtual. That answers a lot of the questions that many of you asked in the chat today. Again, personifycorp.com/virtual. Again, I try to answer as many as I could. This will get you to our page. It has a lot more details. And I would suggest just setting up a demo time or a deeper dive into this to answer some of the technical questions that many of you had. Talk to our team. Again, we're all event specialists and know this stuff inside and out. We're happy to help you brainstorm new solutions. My email address is there, rvallaster at personifycorp.com and Ben's bmorton at personifycorp.com. Both of us are happy to answer further questions. Even if you want to talk about virtual events, don't forget to check out those resources we posted. They will help you as you start this journey. But again, we appreciate you and all your attention today. Good luck in your virtual event and or hybrid event. And we'll talk to you guys really soon. That's the end of our time. Thanks, Reggie. We'll turn it back to you.
Well,
Thanks,
Rich,
everyone.
Ben, thank you guys for a great demo. I'm going to leave the chat room open for the 15 minutes in between this demo and the next. So feel free to go in there and answer some questions that people may have. And then we'll end this session and start the next one. Thanks again. Okay, guys?
Thank you.
Hello, hello.
Hey, how you doing?
How are you?
Good.
Wait.
I don't see Graham in the list here.
He's coming. Hold on, let me shoot him a message.
Okay.
Do you see me?
I do.
Oh, I don't see myself. Oh, hey. I actually don't see you either. It says next up Personify, by the way.
Does not.
Does for me. Ah, there we go. There's that red color I know and love. Oh, there we go. Graham's in.
Okay. Let me find him real quick. All right. Go. Just be mindful that people can hear you.
Hello, people. Hi, Chip. Reggie, how's your morning going?
So far, so good. So far, so good. I'm glad we're doing this. There's a lot of need out in the community right now, that's for sure. So at approximately 9:44, I will make you the host.
Roger. Wait, me or Graham? Can we rock, paper, scissors? There we
See
go.
what I did there? I just deflected. I just took
you took all the power away from me by giving it to me.
you all the power. Yeah. That's how it's played. Good morning, Reggie.
Good morning, my friend. How are you this morning?
I am well.
Likewise on this end, my friend. Likewise on this
Glad to hear it.
Glad to be doing this. It's even over the weekend, and I probably got 15 emails from folks saying, "Oh my God, I just got told that I have to create a virtual event, and it's going to be next month." You know, that sort of stuff is still out there.
Wow.
Yeah, still out there. But I get it. It's hard to make those decisions in this environment right now. It's really hard.
So for those out there listening, Reggie, I want to thank you for making this event on this day, because it is moving day for me, and now I have an excuse not to be moving boxes.
I'm sure your colleagues who are doing the moving feel very good about that.
My boyfriend. Yep. Actually, I think he's probably happier to not have me there. I feel like it would be just amped up, you know?
Just remember that people can hear you. Good. That's working fine. That's working fine. Wow, a lot of questions.
Chip, I love it.
I love it too, Chip.
So Reggie, if you could actually make Graham host rather than me, because he's going to be doing some screen sharing.
Okay.
Bill, just reading your question in the chat, the reason for the delay is the breaks are really useful for virtual retention. So for those that are watching the 30-minute demos in a row, it's very nice to get up and stretch a little bit.
That's one of the reasons. The other reason, Bill, is I didn't know how long it was going to take between vendors, quite honestly, in full disclosure. But I did want to make sure people had time to do their thing. I'm mindful of the fact that people are at home and they've got kids and they've got family and they've got stuff. I like those 15-minute stuff things.
Well, we need to give Chip some time to figure out how to get us that photo of his dining room. Did you see that comment, Reggie?
I did see that comment. Don't be heckling my attendees, okay?
There are attendees now.
Graham, I don't think I have to make you host it. Larry just reminded me. You can probably just, when you're ready to do screen share, grab the screen.
You bet, as long as someone else isn't screen sharing at the same time. So right now we've got the
Yeah, I'll stop mine when it's about time.
Perfect. Yep.
Cool. I'm gonna do my stretching. I'll be right back in a couple of minutes.